ask yourself this. Are you ready to spend $50,000 on this one day? Guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to break down the cost of my upcoming wedding. My fiance and I are getting married early in 2024, which means that this year, 2023, we booked and rented and sorted out all of our venue options, food options, catering, our photography, DJ, you name it. We got it done this year and it was not cheap. I think the price of things for weddings and the cost of a wedding in general in 2023 going to 24 might shock you a little bit. Now, before we break all of that down, of course, let's get some obvious facts out of the way. One, we are located and getting married in the Toronto area, major metropolitan area, large population, large numbers of people, which means more cost. Yes, obviously, the bigger of an area, the bigger city or town that you live in, the higher the costs are going to be. If you are in a more rural location, your costs might vary. By no means are the costs we paid or got quoted on some of these things the fixed costs, nor are they going to be applicable to everybody in every place in Canada. Just a disclaimer to get that out of the way. And of course, we are doing all of this with hired companies, hired groups. We are doing the full-on wedding experience, but that doesn't mean that you have to pay for all these things. None of these things are necessarily essential, aside from a couple things, to actually getting married. You can definitely DIY your wedding, and I'll even touch on a few ways to do that at the end of this video that might help you save some money. But if you want to do the formal wedding, if you don't want to have some of the stress that DIYing will bring upon you if you go that route, then this is kind of the price you might be expecting. We're looking to get married this year or into 2024. Outside of 24, I'd say these numbers are probably null and void. So with all of that out of the way, let's dive into the numbers. First things first, of course, if you are going to get married, you need a venue to have said wedding at. You have your ceremony followed by your reception. Your reception is where you need a venue. Usually that's where your dinner, your drinks, your DJ, your dancing, that's where that stuff happens. I thought room rentals would be free. I thought you're already paying some of these places that are all in one and do the catering and food and drink all there on premise, that you're paying the per head price and that's it. Well, surprise, I was wrong. There is a lot of places now that are charging room rates on top of the per head pricing. Our venue cost ended up running us $5,000, which is not cheap, but we got quoted more out there. So depending on where you want to have your wedding, that price is going to vary, but $5,000 was kind of the median rate. What we saw was places like wineries, those are way more expensive because they don't really have a room rate. So if that's a venue that is of interest to you, just know that the base rate to rent that location is going to be way higher. We got some quotes for wineries in the $8,000 to $10,000 range in the Niagara region of Ontario, which is the wine capital of Ontario. So although those venues are beautiful, it's a really steep price to pay. And on the other side, we got just small rooms or small halls quoted out as low as $2,000, $2,500. Just depends what you want to do. And I'm sure you can find even cheaper rates if you really dig into it. Then again, you need a place to have your ceremony when you actually get married, tie the knot, sign your wedding certificate, all that good stuff, and off you go down the aisle together. Now, we are having this at our venue. So our ceremony and reception are in the same place, and they flip the room over in between with a little cocktail hour break. Your guests come back from the cocktail reception and voila, your tables are out and you're ready to have dinner. And of course, just like with everything else, that's not a free service, that is a paid service, and that cost us $2,500. If you belong to a church and you are thinking of having your ceremony in a church, this is more of the traditional approach, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's going to be far less expensive. In fact, I think it might even be free if you regularly attend, but I do know from experience with other people that it is far less costly to do the church approach and then go to a different location for your reception after. And then getting down to it, you are married, you are at the venue for the reception, and all of your guests have arrived to celebrate the new bride and groom. What does it cost per person for the dinner, for the drinks, for that reception to actually happen? Well, for us, our rate was $240 per person. Yes, I know it's a lot of money. However, the crazy part about this is that we got quotes way higher, and that was shocking. I remember back in the day hearing friends say, oh, I'm paying $120, $130, $140 per person for my wedding. And I thought, wow, that's pretty expensive. Now that was several years ago before a certain world event sort of shifted the economy, but we had quotes come back for particular venues that were in excess of $300 per person. And some people that I talked to about that thought that was still a reasonable number, which is crazy to me. So $240 per person, and we are having 105 guests. So you do the math on that. It's not cheap. It's quite a bit of money. This was by far the biggest singular cost of anything for our wedding. And now that's the key stuff out of the way, but there's so many other things, and I honestly don't even think we scratched the surface in how much stuff you can add on to your actual wedding. We really just got the essentials. We've got decorations and flowers, a DJ, a photographer, and then of course, suit, dress, and rings. That's it. We didn't go with videographers. We didn't go with flower displays on every single table. We really toned it down and picked just what we wanted. And even at that, it still ran a lot of money. So my fiance and her wedding dress, she looked at several dresses from a myriad of suppliers, dress companies in the Greater Toronto area, ranging from $1,500, $1,600 all the way up to $7,000, $8,000. And she settled on something kind of in the middle at about $3,800 pre-tax and alterations. Don't forget, ladies out there, alterations are not free. You pay the base price for the dress, and then you pay to have it actually adjusted to fit you, which can run you, in some cases, almost as much as the dress itself, depending on how much it needs to be altered. So she's at $3,800 pre-tax, pre-alterations. She doesn't even go for those for another few months because our wedding, again, isn't until 2024. So we don't quite know what that's going to cost, but my guess is probably $800 to $1,000. So she got a really nice wedding dress. I also needed to get myself something to wear to my wedding on my big day, and I've never done it before, but I decided I was gonna get a custom suit made for myself, made to measure, first one I've ever owned. Now, I got it done through a friend of a friend, so luckily I probably saved a boatload on this because I got quotes back in excess of $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for a tailor-made to measure suit. I ended up paying about $1,700, all said and done with the tax. All I'm really counting in this rings portion is my wedding band and her wedding band. My wedding band from David Yurman cost about $550 plus tax, and I'm just gonna have it modified with an engraving on the inside, which will probably be about $50 more. So about $600 all said and done for my wedding band. And my fiance, of course, needed a wedding band as well, and she got something custom made from a supplier in Toronto, and it was about $1,600 all in with the tax, which I think is still pretty reasonable. Again, wedding bands, it's completely what you want. It can go as high or as low as you want. We only looked at a couple places, and $1,000 to $2,000 was kind of the going rate for this. And side note, going back to the essential things, when you are getting married at a church or an off-site location and then going to your reception at another location, you're probably gonna need transportation like a limo, very common, to get one to the other, especially the wedding party. We don't need a limo, so we saved probably about $1,000 to $1,200 on transportation fees because, again, our venue is doing it all in one location. So yes, we did spend about $2,500 on the service to put it in one location, but we did save in some other ways as well. Now, I'm going to talk about the DJ service because obviously that's close to my heart. Being a former club DJ, I wanted to make sure we hired a very good one. But first, I want to talk about photographers because my God, I didn't know how much you guys were charging, but now I really want to get into photography full time. Just for photos, not video work, just straight pictures, 250 to 300 pictures supplied on a USB drive or a Dropbox download in some cases. The prices ranged from $3,000 to, I kid you not guys, $11,000. This is outrageous. Sorry, do not pay $11,000 for your wedding pictures. I don't care how good that photographer is. $11K? That's half the cost of our wedding. Strongly recommend just find somebody who is good enough. We, again, got really lucky. Friend of a friend shot my fiance's sister's wedding, and we were able to get a deal about $3,500 all in. And she's even bringing a backup photographer to help us at no additional cost, which is a lifesaver, because then we're gonna get twice the angles, twice the photos to pick from, twice the opportunity to get the exact perfect shot for us to remember our big day with. Do not pay $11,000 or even, over $5,000 for pictures, because we did get photo and video quotes together in about $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 range, which I think if you are really hard set on the photo and video side, or not really miffed about video, you might want something different than what we want, but that money we used for other things like the DJ. I did a lot of review hunting. I looked at a ton of different companies, settled on one based out of the Niagara area, and for under $1,700, we got the DJ, we got speakers, we got mic, MC services, and we got underlighting. So the whole side of our venue, his little booth area will all be lit up, will all look really sharp. And I think it's not only gonna be really good presentation, which is absolutely part of it, but based on the reviews that I read about this particular company and the DJs that they have on rotation, it should be a pretty good party. And that's really what we want. We are still young. We are super excited and super optimistic that this is gonna be worth the investment and we're gonna enjoy ourselves. On to the last one, my least favorite one, because I really don't care about this stuff, and that is decor and flowers. Again, we didn't do flowers at every single table. We were very careful with how many we placed, but all said and done, $7,400 for decor and flowers for one day. And those flowers will be dead the day after, more than likely. Now, I, again, can't get too bothered about it. I think it's a necessary evil, and I think we saved money on enough other things that kind of offsets this. But again, I was pretty shocked at the quotes that we were getting. We had quotes $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 for flowers and decor. Maybe going to two different companies to source these would be more cost effective, but these companies all seem to charge delivery and transport and setup and tear down fees, plus the rentals, plus the flowers, plus labor, plus. It just adds up really, really quickly. We got a all-in-one solution, a party company who's going to do flowers, source those for us, bring them in, do all the setup, all the tear down, take it all away at the end of the night. Again, we just don't want to be thinking about it. We want to come in and just celebrate our big day and not have to do any work. And we didn't want to put our friends out by asking them to help us set up and tear down. We just want everybody to come and have a good time. That is, again, absolutely the key paramount thing for us. And of course, the sky's the limit. You can keep going. Seating charts, more art, decor, whatever you want. You can go insane. Wedding favors, party favors, you name it. The list goes on and on and on. And this can easily ramp up to well over what we ended up costing ourselves with this wedding. All in all, we are around the $50,000 mark for our wedding for one day, but it's a once in a lifetime opportunity and experience. And so hopefully it all ends up being worth it at the end of the day. Although it is a large sum of money, I'm feeling very confident that we made the right decisions, hired the right vendors, and will ultimately have a really good time on the day of. But now, again, back to what I said at the beginning, if you want to DIY some of this and save some money, you can go the route of sourcing things yourself. Go to a local flower market, buy some vases on Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji, fit them up yourself, ask a couple of friends who maybe are in or not in the wedding party to help with the setup. You can do it at a local hall. You can do a backyard wedding. That is a huge popular thing, especially if you're looking at a summer wedding. And don't forget, summer wedding prices are higher than off-season, much higher. Depending on the seasonality, the prices are also going to change. And a lot of these venues have minimums as well. So we'll have 105 people, but regardless of how many we actually have show up, we have to pay for 100. And in off-season, that minimum goes down. On Fridays, that number goes down. So there are some ways you can kind of finagle the cost in that sense as well. If you are crafty or you have crafty friends, that is a very easy way to save on the decor side. And again, sourcing stuff yourself can save on delivery, bring it yourself, take it away, or go a completely non-traditional route. Don't do it in a hall. Don't get married in a church. I think a backyard wedding is super cool and definitely the best way to do it on a budget. Just note that catering costs are going to come into effect unless you want family also cooking for you. No matter how you slice it, you got to pay for that food one way or another though. And there are ways to just get married and not have the whole song and dance. You don't necessarily need the pomp and circumstance, if you're not into that, of a big ceremony, a big reception. You can just go to your city hall and you can get married. I think the marriage certificate is a few $100 and you're done. And people do that. Or maybe take all this money that it's going to cost you for this one day and elope to Vegas or a cruise or a Caribbean island and have a remote destination wedding and invite, your closest friends and family and do it that way. There are a lot of ways that you can save money. But again, in my experience and from what I've learned going through this journey with my fiance, at the end of the day, convenience has a price. And if you are willing to have the convenience and have the day just go hopefully as smoothly as possible, then that is a price that you have to be willing to pay. Anyways, guys, that has been my look at what my wedding cost. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. This is a very long video, so if you're here to the end, thank you for sticking it out and staying with us. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this cost, what you think of these quotes we got. If you're in a similar situation, what you're doing to maybe cut down your costs, or if you are okay with some of these expenses, what are you prioritizing? Everybody's different. Every couple is going to have different things that they want to have come out of their big day. Thank you for checking out the channel and watching this video. We will see you again soon in the next one.